There are moments when life feels like a long, quiet hallway with no doors in sight. You keep walking, not because you know where you're going, but because stopping feels heavier than moving. In these moments, your mind fills with questions it cannot answer. Why am I trying so hard and still feeling unseen? Why does effort not always bring reward? Why does the future feel like something just out of reach, as if it's watching you from a distance, waiting for you to become someone else before it comes closer? Breathe gently here, not to escape these questions, but to sit beside them. The Stoics believed that life does not respond to force the way we wish it would. It responds to alignment, like water finding its way through stone, not by aggression but by patience and consistency. What you want is not running from you. Often it is waiting for you to become steady enough to receive it. You were never meant to chase life as if it were prey. Chasing creates tension. Tension clouds judgment. When your inner world is restless, the outer world reflects that unrest back to you. The Stoic path begins with a quiet decision to stop fighting reality and start cooperating with it. This does not mean surrendering your dreams. It means releasing the inner chaos that blocks them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that your life is shaped by your thoughts, as surely as a field is shaped by the seeds planted within it. If your mind is constantly shouting, demanding, proving, and fearing, the field grows wild. But when the mind becomes disciplined, patient, and calm, the field organizes itself naturally. Things begin to grow in the right season. What you want will come to you when your inner posture changes from grasping to grounded. Think of your desire like a bird. The tighter you close your hands, the more it struggles. But when your palms open and your body becomes still, the bird may choose to land on its own. Stoicism teaches that control is not about tightening your grip on life, but about mastering the space inside yourself. Many people misunderstand manifestation as wishful thinking. The Stoics understood it as character alignment. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are prepared to handle. If you crave respect but live without self-respect, life delays the lesson. If you desire peace but feed your mind constant conflict, peace waits patiently outside the door. Life is not punishing you, it is training you. Seneca reminded us that true power is not found in external success, but in the ability to remain unmoved by chaos. This does not mean becoming cold or detached. It means becoming anchored. When you stop being emotionally reactive to every outcome, you stop leaking energy. That saved energy becomes presence. Presence becomes clarity, and clarity is magnetic. You may feel right now that others are moving ahead while you remain still, but stillness is not stagnation when it is chosen. A mountain does not rush, yet it shapes the landscape around it. Stoicism invites you to become like that mountain, rooted, observant, unshaken by passing storms. When you stop measuring your worth against others, your nervous system relaxes, and when the nervous system relaxes, the mind sharpens. Everything you want requires patience before it requires effort. Patience is not passive waiting, it is disciplined endurance. It is the ability to continue walking without demanding immediate proof that the path is working. Marcus Aurelius practiced reminding himself daily that obstacles are not interruptions to the path, they are the path. Each delay, each challenge is shaping the inner strength required to hold what is coming. Ask yourself quietly, if everything I want arrived today, would I have the emotional maturity to keep it? Or would fear, ego, and impulse dismantle it? Stoicism prepares you not just to receive, but to sustain. It teaches you to become internally wealthy before external rewards appear. When you stop begging life for outcomes and start refining your character, something subtle shifts. You begin to act from principle instead of desperation. You speak with clarity instead of anxiety. You make choices that respect your future self, not just soothe your present discomfort. This is where manifestation begins, not in imagination, but in integrity. There is a calm confidence that emerges when you realize you do not need to force anything. Seneca spoke of the peace that comes when we desire only what depends on us. Your effort, your values, your discipline, these are yours, results are not. And paradoxically, when you stop clinging to results, they often arrive more freely. If you are listening to this right now, it is because some part of you is tired of emotional turbulence. tired of hoping without grounding, tired of striving without inner stability. Stoicism is not about becoming emotionless. It is about becoming emotionally literate. You feel deeply, but you do not let feelings dictate your direction. Your life will begin to change the moment you decide to respect your inner world as much as you respect your goals. Self-respect is quiet. It does not announce itself. It shows up in consistency, boundaries, and patience. And life responds differently to those who respect themselves. Doors open more naturally, opportunities feel less forced. People sense your steadiness. At this point, let your breath slow. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw unclench. Nothing is missing. You are not behind. You are becoming. If this video is creating an inner change within you, gently hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment "I will follow this in my life," and share this message with others who may need it. Now listen closely, because here is where the deeper shift begins. When you stop demanding that life move faster, you start noticing how precisely it moves. The Stoics believed that the universe is not chaotic but ordered, often in ways the impatient mind cannot see. What feels like delay is often alignment in progress. Imagine your life as an arrow being pulled back. The tension is uncomfortable, the waiting feels endless, but the pullback is not punishment, it is preparation for distance. Without this moment, the arrow would fall short. Without your current discipline, patience and inner restructuring, what you want would not travel far once released. You are learning to stand alone without bitterness, to work without applause, to remain disciplined without external validation. This independence is not isolation, it is strength without dependency. When you no longer need others to confirm your worth becomes undeniable. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that fame, praise, and recognition are fleeting echoes. What lasts is the integrity of the soul. When you act rightly even when unseen, life begins to trust you, and life only gives more responsibility, abundance and influence to those who can hold it without losing themselves. As you move forward, carry this quiet truth with you. You do not need to manifest harder. You need to become steadier. Everything you want is drawn to clarity, not chaos, to patience, not pressure, to character, not craving. Let your actions be slow and deliberate. Let your emotions be acknowledged but not obeyed blindly. Let your standards rise quietly. This is how everything comes to you, not all at once, not loudly, but inevitably. There is a quiet moment in every life when you realize that struggle is not always loud. Sometimes it arrives as exhaustion, sometimes as numbness, sometimes as the feeling that you are doing everything right, yet nothing seems to move. Stoicism does not deny these moments. It meets them calmly, like an old friend who has seen many seasons and knows that this one too will pass. The Stoics understood something modern life often forgets. Emotional discipline is not suppression, it is direction. Emotions are like horses, powerful, sensitive, and easily frightened. If you try to kill them, you lose their strength. If you let them run freely, they trample everything in their path. But if you guide them with steady hands, they carry you far. Right now, many of your desires feel urgent because your emotions are exhausted. Urgency is often a sign of inner imbalance. When the mind is calm, desire becomes focused rather than frantic. You stop asking, "Why hasn't this happened yet?" and start asking, "Who am I becoming while I wait?" That question changes everything. Resilience is built quietly, in moments no one sees. It grows when you choose not to react, when you pause instead of exploding, when you rest without quitting. Seneca wrote that a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials. What feels like resistance is often refinement. Each emotional challenge is sanding down excess ego, fear, and impatience. Think of your mind as a lake. When it is constantly disturbed by anxiety, comparison, and emotional storms, the water stays muddy. You cannot see what lies beneath, but when you allow stillness, true stillness, the sediment settles. Clarity emerges on its own. The Stoic path is about creating that stillness, not by escaping life, but by responding to it wisely. Many people believe strength looks like intensity. Stoicism teaches that real strength looks like composure. The person who remains calm in chaos has access to choices others cannot see. While others panic, you observe. While others react, you decide. And decisions made from calm alignment tend to move life in your favor. You may feel pressure to prove yourself, to show results, to explain your pace. Stoicism gently releases you from this burden. You owe no one a performance. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that a good life does not need witnesses. When you stop performing for approval, your energy returns to you, and with that energy, your focus sharpens. Everything you want requires resilience, not just against hardship, but against distraction. The world constantly invites you to abandon your inner standards, to rush, to compare, to seek shortcuts. But Stoicism is the art of staying aligned even when it would be easier to drift. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you strengthen the invisible muscles that carry you forward. Emotional resilience also means learning to sit with discomfort without labeling it as failure. Not every uneasy feeling means something is wrong. Sometimes it means something is changing. Growth often feels like loss before it feels like gain. The Stoics welcomed this discomfort as evidence of progress. You are not meant to feel confident all the time. Confidence is not permanent. Character is. When confidence fades, character carries you. When motivation disappears, discipline steps in quietly and does the work. This is how lives are built that do not collapse under pressure. Independence is another quiet pillar of Stoic wisdom. Not isolation, but inner self-sufficiency. When your peace depends on outcomes, people, or circumstances, it is fragile. But when your peace depends on your values, it becomes durable. You stop negotiating with your integrity. You stop bending yourself to fit spaces that drain you. Seneca warned against placing your happiness in the hands of fortune. Fortune is unstable, today generous, tomorrow cruel. But your inner stance, your principles, your restraint, your courage, these remain available no matter what the world does. When you root yourself here, you become less afraid of loss, and fear of loss is often what blocks abundance. You begin to notice something subtle. As you practice this, life responds differently, not magically, but logically. You make better decisions. You attract healthier relationships. You recognize opportunities sooner because your mind is not clouded by desperation. You stop chasing validation and start creating value. Resilience also teaches you when to endure and when to let go. Stoicism is not stubbornness, it is wisdom. It asks you to invest effort only where effort matters, to release what drains you without guilt, to walk away from what compromises your inner peace, even if it promises short-term gain. As you continue listening, notice your breathing, slower, deeper. This is not accidental. Calm ideas create calm bodies create calm minds, and calm minds make powerful choices. This is the foundation upon which everything else is built. If this video is creating an inner change within you, gently hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment "I will follow this in my life," and share this message with others who may need it. Now let us step into a deeper truth, one that many avoid because it demands courage. Standing alone is not loneliness, it is sovereignty. The Stoics knew that the crowd is often loud but rarely wise. To live well, you must sometimes be willing to disappoint expectations that do not align with your values. Courage, in the Stoic sense, is quiet. It does not shout. It does not seek applause. It shows up when you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, when you remain honest in a dishonest environment, when you stay patient in a hurried world. This courage reshapes your identity from the inside out. When you can stand alone without resentment, you become unshakable. You stop fearing judgment because you are no longer negotiating your worth. You understand that being misunderstood is often the price of being authentic, and authenticity is magnetic. It draws opportunities aligned with who you truly are, not who you pretend to be. Everything you want is moving toward the version of you who is emotionally disciplined, resilient, independent, and calm. You are not late, you are being shaped. In the next part, we will explore how self-respect, patience, and inner authority quietly position you to receive what you've been preparing for all along. There is a moment in growth that feels like invisibility. You are no longer who you were, but you are not yet seen as who you are becoming. This space can feel lonely, quiet, uncertain, yet the Stoics would tell you this is sacred ground. It is the space where self-respect is forged, not declared, where patience stops being an idea and becomes a way of breathing through time. Self-respect is not loud confidence. It is a private agreement you keep with yourself. It shows in how you speak when no one is listening, in what you tolerate when no one would blame you for leaving, in what you refuse to become, even when it would be easier. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When your thoughts are rooted in dignity, your actions follow quietly, consistently. You may have been taught that self-respect comes from achievement. Stoicism gently corrects this. Achievement is external. Self-respect is internal. One can exist without the other, but only one is stable. When your worth depends on outcomes, your inner ground is shaky. But when your worth depends on values, you walk steadily regardless of terrain. Patience grows naturally from self-respect. When you respect yourself, you stop rushing your life to prove something. You no longer need to arrive quickly to feel valid. You understand that things gained too fast often lack roots. Seneca spoke of time as the revealer of truth, not the enemy of success. What is meant to last does not hurry. Think of patience not as waiting, but as trust in process. A tree does not question the seasons. It does not demand fruit in winter. It invests quietly underground, strengthening roots no one sees. Then, when the time is right, growth appears inevitable. Your life follows the same laws, whether you acknowledge them or not. Impatience often disguises fear. Fear that you are falling behind. Fear that life will forget you. Fear that others will take what was meant for you. Stoicism dissolves this fear by reminding you that what is not aligned with your character cannot truly belong to you, and what is aligned cannot be taken away. As patience deepens, something powerful happens. You stop seeking permission. Inner authority begins to rise. Inner authority is the calm certainty that your values guide you better than trends, opinions, or external pressure. You stop asking, "Is this acceptable?" and start asking, "Is this right?" That shift changes everything. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet reminded himself daily that power over others meant nothing without power over self. Inner authority does not dominate, it directs, it does not argue endlessly. It chooses and moves on. When you develop this authority, life begins to treat you differently. People sense when someone is internally led rather than externally pulled. You may notice that as you grow more grounded, fewer things excite you excessively. This is not boredom, it is emotional maturity. Extremes lose their grip. Praise feels pleasant, but not intoxicating. Criticism feels uncomfortable, but not devastating. You become balanced, and balance is one of the most attractive states a human can embody. Everything you want requires this balance. Without it, success becomes stress. Love becomes dependency. Recognition becomes pressure. The Stoics aimed not for pleasure, but for tranquility. From tranquility, joy emerges naturally, quiet, durable, and deep. There will be moments when patience feels like loss, when waiting feels like being forgotten. In these moments, return to this truth: the universe does not rush its masterpieces, and you are becoming one, not by perfection, but by consistency, by showing up aligned even when no one is watching. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Often the pain of waiting comes not from the wait itself, but from the stories we tell ourselves while waiting. Stories of failure, stories of inadequacy, stories of being left behind. Stoicism teaches you to question these stories gently, not with force but with reason. Ask yourself, what evidence do I have that patience is harming me? What evidence do I have that character is a liability? Slowly the mind relaxes its grip on false urgency. You begin to trust your pace again, your own rhythm. Self-respect also teaches boundaries. Not walls, but clear lines. You stop explaining yourself excessively. You stop negotiating your needs. You stop staying in situations that drain your dignity. This is not arrogance. It is alignment, and alignment simplifies life. As you simplify, energy returns, As energy returns, clarity sharpens, and clarity naturally attracts what resonates with it. You do not need to convince life. You need to become coherent within yourself. Let your breath soften here. Let the silence between thoughts widen slightly. This is where patience lives, not in tension but in trust. If this video is creating an inner change within you, gently hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment "I will follow this in my life," and share this message with others who may need it. Now listen carefully, because the next shift is subtle but profound. Once self-respect and patience take root, resilience transforms into quiet confidence. You stop bracing for impact. You stop expecting collapse. You begin to move through life with the assumption that you can handle what comes. This confidence is not optimism. It is preparedness. It is the knowledge that even if things do not go as planned, you will remain intact. Marcus Aurelius spoke often of returning to the inner citadel, a place within that remains untouched by external events. When you know this place exists, fear loses much of its power. You may still want things deeply. Stoicism does not strip desire. It refines it. Desire becomes intentional rather than impulsive. You want, but you are not ruled by wanting. You pursue, but you do not cling. This balance is rare, and because it is rare, it is powerful. As you continue forward, notice how less reactive you are becoming. Notice how fewer things shake you. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional mastery. You are learning to respond instead of react, to choose instead of explode, to endure instead of escape. Everything you want is approaching the version of you who can hold it with calm hands and a steady heart. In the next part, we will explore how resilience, emotional restraint, and the courage to stand firm in uncertainty shape a life that remains strong even when everything else feels unstable. Courage, in Stoic terms, is not dramatic, it is steady. It is choosing patience when impatience would feel more satisfying. It is choosing dignity when retaliation would feel justified. It is choosing long-term alignment over short-term relief. You begin to understand that not every battle is meant to be fought. Some are meant to be outgrown. And outgrowing something does not mean it stops existing. It means it stops controlling you. As resilience deepens, your relationship with uncertainty changes. You stop seeing uncertainty as a threat and begin seeing it as space. Space for growth, space for redirection, space for outcomes you could not have planned. The Stoics trusted that reasoned effort, paired with acceptance of outcomes, created the most stable life. You still act, you still work, you still aim, but you no longer cling. You release the illusion that control guarantees peace. Peace comes from knowing you can adapt without losing yourself. There is a quiet confidence that emerges when you know your center cannot be taken. When you know that even if plans fail, relationships change, or circumstances shift, your values remain intact. This confidence does not seek attention. It does not need reinforcement. It simply exists. This is the version of you that life begins to collaborate with, not because you demand, but because you are reliable. Reliable in character, reliable in discipline, reliable in restraint. Life tends to give more responsibility to those who do not panic under pressure. You may notice that your desires feel less desperate now. They are still present, but calmer, clearer. You want because it aligns with your values, not because you are trying to fill a void. This is the difference between craving and calling. As you continue walking this path, remember that resilience does not mean never feeling tired. It means resting without quitting. It means honoring your limits without abandoning your standards. Even the Stoics valued rest, not as indulgence, but as maintenance. Let your breathing slow here. Let your chest soften. You are not in a race. You are in a refinement. If this video is creating an inner change within you, gently hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment "I will follow this in my life," and share this message with others who may need it. Now, allow a new perspective to enter gently. What if the strength you are building is not just for survival, but for stewardship? What if what is coming into your life requires someone who can hold it without being consumed by it? Abundance, influence, love, responsibility, these things amplify who you already are. They do not fix inner instability, they expose it. Stoicism prepares you by stabilizing the inner world before expanding the outer one. You begin to sense this preparation in subtle ways: fewer emotional extremes, more measured responses, a growing ability to say no without guilt, to say yes without overextension, to choose rest without self-criticism. Standing firm also means learning to sit with silence, silence from others, silence from results, silence from certainty. In that silence, intuition sharpens. You hear yourself more clearly. You recognize which paths feel forced and which feel aligned. This is where independence matures into wisdom. You no longer define yourself in opposition to others. You simply define yourself, and definition creates direction. Direction creates momentum. Momentum creates progress that feels natural rather than strained. Everything you want is aligning with the version of you who can remain centered in uncertainty, restrained in emotion, and steady in values. In the final part, we will bring all of this together, showing how Stoic wisdom applies to modern life and how this inner alignment allows what you seek to arrive calmly, naturally, and at the right time. You stop chasing happiness and start cultivating tranquility. And from tranquility, a deeper joy emerges. Not excitement that burns quickly, but contentment that endures. The Stoics did not seek pleasure. They sought freedom from inner turmoil, from unnecessary desire, from fear of loss. You are now less afraid of standing alone, because you have learned that solitude is not emptiness when you are at peace with yourself. You can walk your path without constant reassurance. You can wait without bitterness. You can work without applause. This does not make you detached from life. It makes you fully present in it. You experience emotions without drowning in them. You desire without desperation. You care without losing yourself. And when challenges come, and they will, you meet them with grounded confidence. You do not ask, "Why me?" You ask, "What is this shaping in me?" That question alone transforms suffering into instruction. Let this truth settle gently. You do not need life to be easy to be at peace. You need your inner world to be ordered. When your inner world is ordered, outer chaos loses its power over you. As you carry this Stoic wisdom forward, apply it simply. Focus on what is within your control. Release what is not. Act with integrity. Rest when needed. Endure when required. Let time do what time does best. Reveal. If this video is creating an inner change within you, gently hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment "I will follow this in my life," and share this message with others who may need it. Now, breathe slowly and deeply. Notice how calm feels different now than it did at the beginning. Not empty, not heavy, grounded. You are no longer asking life to hurry. You are no longer afraid of waiting. You are becoming someone who can receive without losing balance, who can succeed without losing peace, who can stand strong without hardening. This is Stoic manifestation, not attracting through desire, but through discipline, not forcing outcomes, but becoming worthy of them, not chasing everything, but becoming centered enough that what belongs to you finds its way. Carry this calm into your days, into your work, into your relationships, into moments of uncertainty. Let it guide your decisions quietly. And remember, nothing that is truly meant for you requires you to abandon your values to obtain it. Walk steadily, breathe deeply, trust the shaping. Everything will come to you because you have become someone who can hold it.